Hi, Mark Leapart here, continuing on with the BigFix Foundation series. In this section, I will give a demo of using BigFix to patch a Windows target. Let's get started. So here's the patch overview dashboard, and we can see how many patches are needed for this environment. This is a very small environment. We get to see critical patches and important patches. And down here, we get to see in the lower left-hand quadrant all the top 10 patches that are here. So I can click on one of these patches, and this is the Adobe Flash Player. So I'll click on that, and that takes me into the patch. So you can read the important information about it. So you get to see what's in the Details tab. Excuse me, the Description tab. If we look in the Details tab, now we see, so the ID is BigFix's internal tracking of the ID for this patch. It's for site patches for Windows. It's a security update. It addresses this CVE. It is 21.25 megabytes in size. Source is Microsoft, and it is a critical patch. Here's the KB number that Microsoft references it. We look at the relevance. We can see that we're pretty much looking for a Windows box that's not a proxy agent. It's a 64-bit operating system. It's not Itanium. We're looking into this registry hive, and we're looking for the, it starts with Win20 and the major version of it. And the current version of it has to be 10. So we're looking in this particular registry hive. And next relevance statement, we're looking for Windows 2016 or Windows 20, and then a current version number again of 10. So it's very similar to Relevance 4, but we added in 2016. Relevance 6, release ID. So now we're looking at the current release of the operating system. So we're looking at a particular release ID of 1607. Relevance statement number 7 is quite long, but suffice to say we're looking for very specific information within, again, the native registry. Relevance 8, we're looking to see if this particular client setting has been set. So we're expecting that to be false. Or we're looking also here on a pending restart. So this is the SHA-1 of the patch. BigFix will lay this down on an endpoint. So we have a tag, or we know that, hey, this patch has been applied and we need to have a restart. So all those statements are true. This is the action that will be run. So the BigFix server will go and grab this file if nobody else has requested it. So we'll go straight to Microsoft, or whoever the vendor is of the patch will get it. We calculate the SHA-1. We calculate the SHA-2. We validate the size. And once that is done, and that, by the way, that occurs on the BigFix server, on the BigFix relay, on the BigFix endpoint. And we also validate that the your action site.afxm file is valid, and that you, the user that is running this, are authorized to take an action against this box. So then we'll run whatever Microsoft, in this example, whatever Microsoft is telling us to run on how you do the install. So we go ahead and we do that. Here's the tag that we laid down, and as a fixlet runs, the difference between a fixlet and a task is that once the fixlet runs and the action is run, BigFix will go through all of these relevance statements again. And more than likely, relevance statement 7 will now be false. And so we'll mark the patch as applied or fixed. Looking at the applicable computers tab, we see that it's applicable for my one computer. And I'm going to go ahead and take an action, and that's to initiate the deployment process. I select my server. I can say, so the default execution is that it's going to run for 48 hours, waiting on that endpoint to check in and say, hey, yeah, I want to do this. Maybe it's not online all the time, so you can change all these values. You can change the behavior. If I say reapply this action, whenever it becomes relevant again, now it's becoming more of what we would call a policy. And this one is limited to just 3 applications. You can turn that off, or you can turn this all off. Users, typically in a server world, we don't care because users typically are not logged on, but in the workstation world, that's a little different. Same thing with messages. You can display messages to the end user as something is occurring, as BigFix is doing something. You can alert them that, hey, save your work. You can even allow them to cancel the action. You can set a deadline when you want the action to occur. You can show confirmation messages before it's running, and you can also display a message while the patch is being installed. So I'll go and check these all off. I don't want that. You can make it an offer. Typically, you don't make a patch an offer. It'd be something like a piece of software like Visio that not everybody needs. But you can make it an offer, and if you've installed the BigFix self-service application, then end users will get notified that they have this offer, and then they can choose when they want to install it. And it also closes that security loophole where they no longer need to be administrators of their workstations. Post-action. BigFix, by default, we're not going to do anything. You have to select this restart radio button and then decide, how do you want the reboot to occur? Is it in a day? Is it in a minute? Is it in 30 days? So that is your call when you want to do that. Applicability is all that relevance smushed together into one big statement. Success criteria is typically the applicability relevance evaluates to false. And then the action script, you get to see this is the actual script that will be run. So I have my target selected. I click OK, and this will send a UDP packet to the endpoint telling them, hey, you have some work to do. The endpoint will look at what work is there and then start the process. I mean, it will look to see, do I have this patch in my cache? No. BigFix Relay, do you have this patch in your cache? No. BigFix Server, do you have it? No. So the BigFix Server goes out and gets it, and you'll see it here where it's downloaded it and it's cached it. Then it will change, the statuses will change, and you'll see that the endpoint, it will go to, oh, here it is pending downloads, or evaluating, or running. Fixed is what we expect to see on a computer that we've applied this patch to. And as with most Windows patches, you've rebooted the box. This completes the quick overview of actually applying a BigFix patch. Thank you.